Sa pagsalubong ninyo, hindi ako nagkamali sa pagpili.
70 record closing highs so far for the Dow.
Blasting through a ceiling.
In a record-setting IPO.
In other business news, the Philippines became Southeast Asia's fastest growing economy last year.
An island country with over 7,000 islands emerges on the fringe of the Pacific, and every little island is as one of the stars in a sky that crosses the tropics. Jungles of emerald turn to mountains of terracing landscapes cut in ancient stone. Streetways pulse along to cacophony of laughter and song, easily interlaced between the profound drone of construction elements and the orchestrion of jeepneys. Welcome to the Philippines, where the traditional and the modern coexist, where the present and the future lie down in the same bed, troubled, shoot, and impatient, full of hope. The world followed the Philippines for ages, but those times were poor in this country because the tale was clouded with the great shadows of Asian superpowers, China and Japan. The archipelago was also frequently positioned into the role of the underdog, its misadventures more noticeable than its successes, and thus the archipelago could just barely be traced under the economic radar in the region. However, the wind of change is blowing in a different direction, and noiselessly yet almost unnoticeable by all except those most observant, the Philippines is rewriting a new history.
Philippine economic growth in the first quarter of 2025 falls short of government targets.
Time to stop and ask the question, is the Philippines the new emerging Asia giant in the making? One does not find the answer in flashy headlines or in government slogans. It is in small daily revolutions, in glassy skyscrapers reaching up into the sky out of Manila, in their sleepless chatter of call centers that are linking the world together, and in their wild aspiration of the 115 million Filipinos. A decade back, nobody thought that this nation would make a giant leap over the other Southeast Asian nations. But since 2010, the Philippine economy has recorded average growth of above 5% per year, beating Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia in some years. In the year 2023, the country was declared to be the fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia. At dusk on a Makati rooftop, you can see a city glittering with cranes and hope, a carpet of progress unfolding before your feet. What is it that drives this rapid rise? The soul of the country is people. Juvenile vigor. Philippines has one of the youngest populations in Asia. The median age stays towards the lower half of 20s. Classrooms and online training facilities are full, creating a future generation of workers who are highly adaptive, technologically literate, and highly conversant with the global culture. Overseas workers, Filipinos employ almost 10% of their population to work overseas. They prop up industries, fund education of their siblings, and give lifelines to whole communities as their remittances bring in billions a year to their home countries. Business process outsourcing. The Philippines is fast becoming the biggest call center and back office center in the world because of the world-class standards in English and service-centered culture. The talent Filipinos have is needed by major international companies, no matter if it be finance, IT support, or creative work.
The law will help us solve the various challenges plaguing our labor sector, such as low-quality jobs, skills mismatch, and underemployment, among others.
Strategic location, the country is strategically located at a crossroad of some of the key shipping channels between the Pacific, Indian Sea, and South China Seas. Investors in the US, Japan, China, and South Korea are investing billions in domestic enterprises because of the stability of the political environment, the market, and its closeness to trade in the world market. Infrastructure revolution, mega projects are changing the face of mobility across the islands. New expressways cut down commute time in Luzon. New airports, railroads, and electronic highways have intertwined state-of-the-art communities which were previously on the back burner. Even the online space is changing as fintech startups and online businesses mushroom in terms of their coverage and product range. However, it is not a fairy tale, but a tale born out of hardships. Authoritarianism to democracy next to the bruises of dictatorship which still leave a shadow. With each election, the democracy of the country keeps taking its roots. Natural disasters, typhoons, and earthquakes challenge the guts of the nation every now and then, but rather than crumple, Filipino nationals rise again, provide assistance to those in dire need, repair schools, and adopt their resiliency as a matter of communal pride. Culture and identity, Filipino culture is adamant despite all this. Fiestas break out in cascades of color and sound. Mind-blowing talent of local artistes puts the world under its spell. Traditions that have been as old as mountains spring back to life. In this very hustle, it is not a pain-free ride up the ladder in the Philippines. Inequality. Gleaming rich apartment buildings crushes down into densely populated informal settlements. The divide between the wealthy and the not-so-wealthy continues, and answers are not easy.
Under the previous administration, I look at the numbers and I said, wow, only 2% we are spending only 2% of our GDP for infrastructure. Now we're spending something like 5 to 6%.
Brain drain. There is a tendency of flooding the foreign market with talented graduates and entrepreneurs whose input back home is of great need. Structural problems, corruption, bureaucratic inertia, and red tape still hold things back, despite leaders espousing the rights of transparency and reform. Education and healthcare, these are areas of vital importance and are still under pressure to bring quality, availability, and equity to the whole country. Adversity is, however, greeted with optimism. A new middle class is emerging, powering the local economy, needing invention and redefining the dreams of the society. Technological sectors are doing very well. Innovators, artists, and activists are taking new directions and creating a new form, proudly global and certainly local, of nationhood, a distinctly Filipino identity. The world is listening. Diplomats, investors, and even neighbors are keeping an eye over which direction the archipelago is maneuvering as the latest great success story to come to Asia. Maybe it is not the transformation that will overturn in a breathtaking instant. Instead, as the sound of steps, persistent, firm, each a planted seed, each chained up mind, each freed dream. Is the Philippines emerging as a big player in Asia without loud noise? The proof is accumulating and the verdict is already reverberating in the boom of the metro construction, flow of international investments, and the palpable electricity dancing up and down its cities and the rural areas. The novel, however, is still in progress. The sound of change is already there. When you listen well, the drums of progress, the laughter of youth, and the activities of a nation. Rising high, not deterred. What may be your thoughts? Is it possible that the Philippines can become the next Asian powerhouse? Comment your ideas and come along with us to trace the future of this miracle country.